Asking me to be more precise, the friend from Kiev is trying to ask if in some dissemination activity I work with friends, should I incorporate, what's the form of incorporation there versus the form of my incorporation in my 10?
That's a problem. That's a question that is very not simple. Because to the extent in which I work in our dissemination, let's say with the external audiences or even with our Bnei Baruch audiences, then I am connected with all kinds of people that are in different tens, and we by this are creating emotional material, and all of a sudden I see myself more connected to Toronto and to French and Latin and Beersheba and Bishkek and Bulgaria and all kinds of people that are out there before me. And where's my 10? It kind of disappears amongst them. So what's the connection between my emotional connection? I'm not talking about something else, but emotional connection through creating of materials, the talking that we're doing between those that I'm associated with in dissemination and those in my group. And here we already have several different systems that we're incorporated in at once. And then comes the question, what are you asking?
So we know that we only have our 10 that we should incorporate in, and now I start to incorporate with additional forms of random 10s, or those that operate outwardly. What's that like?
Those could be non-random 10s. They could be for long times and very deep and prolonged and emotional, important tasks. Therefore, my 10 is like my home, where I am, and I grow from there and acquire the forces from my friends. But actually my activity is as we go out of our homes to jobs and works and other educational systems like the universities, etc., but where you come back home. How to combine this with that? I can't explain. There are many systems that we will stumble upon and will ask about, but altogether it's all the system of Adam HaRishon. And we need to understand the several principles of the system of Adam HaRishon so that they don't bother us to be both at home, like dwellers at our home, and at work, being one of the group force at work, to be in our studies, in a studies group, and to be in other kinds of places, just like in our lifetimes. And our life altogether is including all those systems. It's not that there's all together, they are all 10 sfirot and not 9 and 11, where it seems to us like we're isolated from everyone and this is our fence line and we don't want to be connected to anything else. That's good for a baby. As he lives that way, first of all, in his mother, altogether incorporated there, and then when he comes out of his mother, then he starts to be connected to all kinds of systems that he operates within him, his breathing system and his digestive system and the getting rid of his waste, etc., and then using more emotional instruments, his mind, where he gets to know this world, how to demand, how to receive. And this is how we will have to be connected to all kinds of systems. We need to learn this from the child that is born and develops in his connection actually correctly with the external world. And we push him to be connected with all kinds of systems because that's considered that he will be qualified for life, developed in life. We will do it that way. There's a lot to learn from that, but that's our actual correction. These corrections have to do only with the last generation. Prior to that, we didn't have such a thing. If you were to ask what happened with Rabbi Shimon and his 10, or with additional 10s of Kabbalists, they attained the connection between them, within them, and that's it. They never went out of the borders that are broader. We are. That's called the last generation. That's called the general correction of the world. And we will have many questions that we will not find too many answers unless we look from our sources. We will understand that as we deepen in them, we will understand how we can behave also in our times. But it's good that we have such questions. I'm happy to hear them.
Maybe the friend from Q3 will finish his question because I kind of took it away from him. So I just want to make it more precise, and also thanks for the broader answer you gave. In my 10, for example, we feel very strong in cooperation, we feel each other, but in a dissemination project, sometimes it seems that we are lacking this incorporation. And the question is, how much in such a project, between the friends, there also we need to raise this level of incorporation.
I will tell you, we will discover this as we work. I am in my 10. From my 10, I am also in some work group, not my 10, but a work group, which are called, like Dudi, the writers. Yes, the writers. And others with some group that are engaged in the theater, in producing clips and study material. And I have there other people that have to do with music and with the publishing of written materials and translations. There are many systems. That's just within us, from within, inside our Bnei Baruch, our general world Kli Bnei Baruch. When we start to emerge outwards, we begin to connect with all kinds of individuals, usually, that are outside of us, as well as later they will be more and more united also into certain tens, more or less, it's not important, but they too will be organized in some form of groups from the study with us, from the discussions with us, the cultural evenings, connection, etc. And then we will discover how we need to build more and more forms of connection. But altogether, this is a system that although I don't disconnect from my original 10, I discover that I have many more matters in all of humanity. What can I do? I once also disconnected from my mother and started to grow. And as much as I grew, I got to know more and more people. And that's how we advance more and more. When does old age come into a person? When he starts getting more and more mature, and he gets rid of all the connections. From all the connections he gets rid of. He passes from all the connections. We're not allowed to do that. On the contrary, we need to be truly with the understanding that life is development, this increasing incorporation all the time. Let's see how we arrange that together. But it's good that we have these questions already.